Just never know what might happen in here. Frick. What time is it? Is it late? I'm sure it's late. I'd like to tell you that I was doing something important. We went on a boat ride, and then we came back, and then my husband and I fought over the boat lift because, you know, that's what you do on Sunday nights. And then Amos had to take a bath because he fell down. We got lots of problems. Okay, I'm trying to find Seaton here. Seaton and I are getting better at this every second. Oh, and I didn't even tell her I was on. Shoot, I should have told her. Somebody text her and tell her. Crap. Oh, there she is. Okay, Seaton. We're getting so fast at this. That was like not even fun.
Oh, yeah, here we are. All right, thank you, Sept. Thank you, Lim.
You're welcome.
That was so fast, it wasn't even fun.
I know. Well, I couldn't do it. She was Sophie, but, you know.
Well, you should know how to do it now, right? Do you know how to do it?
No, I still do not. I still need technological help.
But you watched her do it.
No, it's very chaotic when this happens. She's freaking out. I'm freaking out. It's a lot.
There's a lot of fighting in this house.
Well, I hear someone's listening to Who Let the Dogs Out. Let me close this door. Hey, quiet, people.
I don't have mace. If somebody comes in here, I have Febreze.
That works.
Yeah. Well, Amos fell. He's in the bathtub for the 9,000th time this weekend. I'm about bathed out, and I just left 14, 12-year-old in charge of it. And now each other and watch him. So I'm sure he'll be down here in a minute, but I gave him his, I was about to say his Ambien, his melatonin. Nice to see you. We missed last week. That was my fault, but I'm glad to be back with you tonight. And I was doing a little catching up on kind of so we talked like a week ago. Where were we last time we talked? I can't even remember.
Last time we talked, we didn't know anything about the Satterfield stuff. I mean, that was what was the most epic thing that came out, I think, since last time we talked.
So you did an interview, right, with Gloria Satterfield's family's attorney. Is that correct?
Yes, and it just blew my mind. We reached out to him. We didn't know if he would talk, and I sat there listening to him in the interview and just was mind blown that stuff like this could happen. I just couldn't believe it.
So we thought all along, oh, there's been a $500,000 settlement, blah, blah, blah. Come to find out it was how much?
$4.3 million. I mean, that is way different than, and the kids didn't even find out about the money missing until they saw it in news reports. And they thought it was originally only 500 until the attorney started digging deep and finding out that no, it was not just 500, it was $4.3 million.
So how did he find out about the amount?
You know, I don't exactly know how. I think he just started digging and saying, okay, looking at court documents and settlement and banking stuff. So he didn't really go into exactly how he discovered this.
Okay.
But I mean, he did say, I mean, he broke it down about how he thought it happened.
So what Seaton is talking about is Gloria Satterfield's has two sons. They have an attorney representing them. On Seaton's 2 podcasts ago, interviewed him, and he said it actually, they're all like, what? It wasn't 500,000, it was 4.2 million. And then this week, a document came out that said the family share of that would have been 2.7 million.
Right.
Which I just thought, right, that second, Seaton, that's not, why would they only get 2.7 of 4.2?
Well, when we talked to John Bland, we had another legal analyst on and asked him about it. And he said, that's just Okay, do your calculator. But we did it, and he said, I don't know. He wasn't terribly upset about the way that broke down. I thought it was egregious, but he said it's not that crazy. Because a third, you're doing your math.
I just did 4.2 times 3 or divide 0.30 and got 1.26. So I guess that would be that lawyers got 1.26. Look, that is good.
Yeah.
Okay. That seems like a lot, considering that Alec said, use my friend, Corey Fleming, the attorney. He's my friend.
Well, I know we did talk about this last time, and usually if you have kind of friends and family discount, instead of taking the full third, you would take like 25%. So, I mean, yes, that is bothersome, but it is allowed.
Yes.
I mean, the more bothersome stuff is what they did with the money, that the kids never received any of it.
Right, right. So where is the money? Do we know where the money is? Do we know?
We don't. We know where it's not. It's not in. So there was a holding company that was supposed to have the money, and this is where it was set up. And instead, what Bland says is that Alec put it in a bank account in Bank of America and then cashed it out. So he set this bank account up under a name that was very similar.
Forge, right? Instead of like.
Right, Forge.
See.
And what is. Right. So he set it up to a Forge that wasn't the exact like Forge Holdings. He set it up as just Forge. So he set up this bank account as Forge. And what also came out, Island Packet reported this week that Alec knew people in Forge Holdings Company.
Yes, I read.
He actually
he
had ties
that.
to people.
I was reading that. Yes. Yeah.
And they issued a statement saying we have nothing to do with this.
Right. That ain't us.
That is not us. But it was also, like everything else in this case, very strange, the fact that he had ties to these people. He knew Forge Holding.
I don't know how he kept. This would make look like having an affair would be easy. I mean, the amount of juggling all this mess, hey Suzanne, would be exhausting.
Right.
Like how, because this could not have been the first time that he did this. You don't just do this like once and then, oh, you're caught. I mean, this is.
No. Well, in fact, Bland says it. Bland says this was an industry that they set up. Like he basically says this is the way they did it. It's not the first time. I mean.
Right. Ooh, MK just said Nancy Grace is doing a Murdaugh special on Fox at 10. And y'all.
Yes, and Matt's going to be on it.
Matt, so that's Seaton's podcast partner, is going to be back with Nancy Grace tonight at 10. But Seaton really prefers the Tales page because, it's more serious, important.
Well, it's way more serious, but also Matt said we actually had a quick conversation about it today. He's like, oh, I'm on Nancy Grace again tonight. He's like, but I'm not telling anyone because she might make me look dumb.
Well,
she's pretty intimidating.
The time I did something with her, which might have been a mistake since I got sued, but she kept saying, and we're with the debutante. Like, what in the hell do I have on here? Where'd they get this? What's the latest on the maid? Okay, Catherine, you haven't been listening. That's what we've been talking about. So the latest, though, I think was reported last week. Maybe somebody reported it. Oh, Island Packet said, okay, the attorney for the banker whose name was mixed up with Alex and then Corey Fleming, his attorney said, yeah. Here's all the paperwork, right? About the 2.7.
Right. So Fleming has been mentioned multiple times because he has also been mentioned in Connor Cook's lawsuit. Connor Cook is one of the other alleged boat driver back in the Malheur Beach accident. So Alec recommended that Connor go to Fleming. And the same thing happened so Corey Fleming was a good friend of Alex. They were college roommates.
Murdaugh. If you're tuning in, we're talking about them.
Oh, yeah, Alec Murdaugh.
Yep.
So they were good friends. They were college roommates. They he's the godfather of his son. He actually had represented Paul in a previous voting infraction, I think, where alcohol was involved. So they're pretty tight. So when this is what Bland said to us. Bland said when at the funeral, Alec approaches the sons of Gloria Satterfield and basically says, you know, this is my fault. You got to kind of keep it under the table because I could get in trouble, but I'm going to put you in touch with him. He's going to take care of you. And you guys are basically going to sue my insurance company and you'll be taken care of.
What a dick. So he pretends being nice, and really he's thinking, I'm going to get 2.7 million out of this myself. And so
now to be fair, this week Corey Fleming has issued a statement against Bland saying that it is not true and he's going to file a countersuit against him. Or he doesn't say him, against others. That these allegations against him are not true and I'm going to file allegations. I'm going to file countersuit.
I didn't know about that. I did not know.
Yeah.
Because Corey Fleming has been like crickets. We hadn't heard.
No, and that statement was actually issued by one of his law partners, not by him.
I messaged those fools and said, y'all want me to use these pictures? And one, the guy's going like this. But they didn't respond. Honor, quiet. So Corey Fleming is saying it's not true. Well, one part about it that we don't know what happened. So let's talk a little bit about the judge's signature on this settlement.
Right. So the $500,000 settlement was signed off by, oh my gosh, my old lady brain.
One judge.
No, but it's the same judge. Both judges. Mullen is the 4.3. Mullen is the judge.
Okay.
But it was like scribbled. You couldn't really make it out.
Right.
Like it doesn't look like a regular signature.
Right.
And it apparently was never filed in court. It's not ever been filed. So that's obviously very troublesome, and
it has to, by law, it has to be filed.
It has to be filed, and it was not filed.
And in order to be filed, that makes it public record. So when it doesn't get
right, so it was never a public record.
But the insurance company, I guess, would pay it out before it got filed, huh?
Well, I think those documents were presented to the insurance company like it had been, but it had not been. Right. And the other thing, so that the other really interesting thing Bland said when we talked to him is they hired a banker basically to handle this, so that the boys, because the boys were in their 20s, one is special needs, and you know they thought maybe it would be best for a banker to handle this instead of handing over a large sum of money to people in the early 20s. Maybe better to dole it out over time and make sure it was invested well and all those things. So when that happened, the boys did not have to be involved in any of the settlement negotiations or anything like that, because then the banker was representing them.
So Elizabeth, that's what your question is. Why did the sons not do anything when they didn't get any money? That was my initial question. I was like, you're waiting around for your settlement money. You'd be like, where's my... Well, they didn't know there was any money to get.
They didn't know. They learned in the paper the way the rest of us did.
It would be like Adrian finding out that there's some money she was supposed to get and be like, what? Who knew that? So
no, so they might have thought that they were still waiting for the settlement. They might have thought that maybe the insurance company denied it. I mean, I don't think these were people of means, so it was probably, a difficult, maybe they didn't know, and they're were also probably very trusting to this family. I mean, the mother worked for the Murdaugh family for over 20 years.
Right.
And she was mentioned like family in their obituary. So maybe they just thought that he had their back and everything would work out the way it was supposed to.
Yeah, you're right. You are right. And the one brother having, special needs that probably then the other one is probably having to look after him a little bit, I would assume, having a son with special needs myself. Mama's not here. You're really busy. And, you know, things like this, it's really tricky for like an average Joe person. I mean, but somebody said, who's supposed to file it? Attorney is. So my alleged attorney is supposed to be popping in here. He's mad at me right now, though, because we were fighting over the boat. But that's their
boats always lead to fights. That's what we had one for a while. It was like
anchoring a boat. It's like, you might as well say, divorce me on my forehead.
I know, yeah, and you don't jump out in time, or you don't get the yeah.
Problem.
I've been there.
Big problem. Let's see. Beverly said, how old are Gloria Satterfield's sons?
I don't know the answer. When we talked to Bland, I think they're late 20s.
Okay. Late 20s.
Because we kind of, we delved in, we're like, how old? I mean, I think they were adults at the time that this all occurred. I mean, he described them as like mid to late 20s, you know, but we don't know. I don't think he's giving all the you know, he wants to protect their privacy somewhat.
So then the other thing you and I talked about today, which was interesting, was Reddit. So I don't know how familiar y'all are with Reddit, Reddit. I do go to Reddit for, it's like the underworld for sleuthing. That's even like more interesting than like Facebook groups, I think.
No, I never had been on it until
I love it.
No, I mean, I'm on it now, but I was never on it until this.
Right. Well,
and you can get a lot of good information, but what's interesting about Reddit is you never know who it's coming from because it's not your regular name. I mean, people are going to be a little bit more conscious on a Facebook sleuth group because they're going to say who they are.
Bingo. And sometimes people might say something on Facebook and then they'll delete it because they'll be like, shit, somebody's going to like, because I'll be like, who is that? What do they know? And send them a Facebook message. Where Reddit, you could say anything you wanted to. Now, is there any truthfulness to it? You have no idea. Yes, so MK said it's full of rumors. Of course it is. But when you see a rumor enough, it makes you start thinking. And oftentimes a rumor, so there was a name that was mentioned, has been mentioned in Reddit all weekend. And I think Mandy Matney, I don't know if she saw it in Reddit, whatever. Reddit kind of broke the story, and then she shared it today and did a nice job of kind of condensing.
No, I think it was her partner, is Will Falk,
Will.
He was the one who reported the story.
And Will is the one that had the affair with the person running for governor?
I mean, that's what he said. I don't know if that's true or not.
Why would you make that up that you were having an affair? I wonder why. Huh. I guess it would maybe hurt their campaign. That's another story. Okay, so they do this story, and it's like basically Reddit exploded, and you can find documents. And tell us a little bit about that.
So I've been seeing this rumor for like the last couple weeks on Reddit and on a few of the Facebook pages about this connection to the Murdaugh family and these people called the Bullwares. I'm not saying it right. I have a friend from the area who reached out and she told me how to say it, and that's not how I know it's not right. But anyway, I'm going to say Bullware. Please don't crucify me for that.
Oulware.
But they pronounce it a different way, just
Bullware.
like they say bull. Yes, that's it. You said it right. Bullware. All right. So that is how they say it. But okay, so these people have a connection because they previously owned the property where Maggie and Paul were found murdered, called Moselle.
Yes.
And they apparently sold the property for $5. So that seems unusual that you would sell this, you know.
Because is it
1,000?
How many acres?
What is it? 1,600? I think it's like 1,600 acres or something. I don't know. Please don't. If I mess it up, I'm just flying off. I think it's like 1,600 acres. It's big.
I would have bought it for that.
Yeah. So he bought it for $5. But so then they go back into the story about this Bullware family, and I guess back in the late 70s and early 80s, there was a lot of drug running down in that area, which was Hilton Head and Beaufort and Edisto. And Boulware were shrimpers. And I guess they had been, what's the word I'm looking for? What's that?
I said shrimping.
No, they were shrimp. They were shrimp drivers, but I guess they were possibly smuggling some drugs.
Smugglers.
And they were smugglers of marijuana. I don't know if there's any.
Yes.
Yeah. So they were smugglers, and and at the time, what's interesting is the governor was the prosecutor of this, our current governor.
Mm.
So he was touted by Reagan for making all these strides on the war of drugs and all this stuff. So Boulware was set to stand trial for the senior and the son for the alleged drug running charges.
Mm-hmm.
And right before that happened, the witness against them stepped in front of a car and died. So they actually never stood charges for that. So it seems like everything against this very strange. But again, these are all very Reddit rumors.
But one thing we know that's not a rumor is this business partnership between Boulware and Murdaugh family. And somebody just added, okay, the $5, but then they turned around and did like $790,000 back over for the property. But one interesting thing, so these people have these like boats and they're taking people fishing. Well, one day, I don't know if you read the story, they're out there fishing and the Coast Guard, pops in on there and he's like, what's up? And there are 11 people from Miami.
Oh, no, but they said that their boat sunk.
And they're like, what's going on? They're like, well, the boat sunk and they just rescued us.
They rescued us. Yes, they rescued them.
And you're right, Grady, there is a news article. So see, that's when you can start verifying it. I saw the news article and it was like, men say they're from Miami. Like the article was like, liars. I mean, nobody believed it. But then this next boat trip, finally, or not the next one, finally, these two people get charged and the government witness is just hanging around, walking around, and bam, he gets run over.
I mean, what are the chances?
It seems good if you're related to Murdaugh somehow. I mean, I would watch myself. Anyway, so then their charges are dropped. I mean, which is interesting without that witness that there were no charges and they go on about their.
Yeah, I guess they didn't really have enough evidence against them without that witness. That could be legit.
And the guy who's Alex's age died a few years ago, Barrett.
Of cancer. And then he basically signed everything over to Alec.
So what about I saw his wife on Facebook and his son who like takes people hunting, runs a hunting camp. So I wonder what their thoughts are.
I don't know. I think I'm going to attempt to reach out.
Well, it's easy. I already did a friend request to the wife.
Did you do it? Okay, I thought about that today.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of
what am I going to ask? Is she going to hate me? Because she might be like, they're trying to pin like my husband as a drug dealer, which would be terrible, whatever.
If he's not, he never
might
went,
not.
To be fair. On her point, he was never convicted of that.
About the signing stuff over to Alec, because I did not know all this business.
Yeah, again, I read this article, something like he was representing him. Don't, it's a lot.
Don't quote you.
Don't quote me. But something like he was dying and he became his power of attorney. And, all of a sudden stuff was signed over to him. It was very confusing.
He's going to be helpful. He wants to help.
Right. And actually, that would be the question to ask his wife.
It would be.
Are you cool with Alec having all your money?
So CNN wrote a story today, and the story was basically like, I've just spent money and done 3 tanks of gas, and every door I knocked on, people slammed the door in my face. Did you see that?
Oh, I know. Yeah, I read that article too. Like they showed up at they showed up at the store where Mallory Beach, who was the girl who was killed, worked, and I think they basically slammed the door in her face. Morgan Dougherty they recognized her because she was Paul's former girlfriend. She was also on the boat at the time of the boating accident, and she basically slammed. They were like they put the closed sign up.
And now Cousin Eddie, who you and I have tried to find, we can't find Cousin Eddie. Cousin Eddie has no trespassing sign on his tree now, I saw today.
Oh, does he? Oh, well, because now he has a lawyer. So maybe his lawyer has said, Eddie, you have to stop talking to people.
I really like Eddie. I think Eddie is a good-hearted guy. He might be a little drunk, but he seems good.
Maybe he does. I felt bad for him when he said, when the quote said that damn mugshot, I was like, yeah, I would have been mad about that. That made him look crazy. And he did look way better. He's like when they.
Ow.
Wait, sorry, I missed that.
He said,
Did you say?
Wouldn't let me take a shower.
And they could not have gotten a less flattering photo. I mean, with his eyebrow that was so cocked up. I mean, his hair was going everywhere. He definitely was not. It was not his best day. but I mean, you feel sorry for him because the interview last night on local radio, he describes that he considered Alec like a brother to him.
Right. Yeah, and Eddie is not going to be like, you know what? I think I'll shoot Alec. Because what did Eddie have to gain from shooting Alec? Nothing.
I think we should describe to everyone what Eddie says his version of events.
Okay,
what he says.
Tell us.
What he says is that, and this is like New York Post. I think they just literally just like showed up on his doorstep and they got this interview with him. They really scooped it out.
Yeah.
I thought that was good of them.
Yes.
So they show up and it was like basically describes this situation where he had heard from Alec and said that Alec said he needed help. He wasn't sure what, but I think he just thought it was some probably car difficulties.
Car trouble.
So he goes there, he finds Alec, and he's got this gun and he's waving it all around, and then they have this struggle because he thinks, if he's describing him as like his brother, he describes this situation where, he's not wanting his friend to shoot himself, and then the gun during the struggle goes off and he basically freaks out, takes the gun and leaves.
Which is very plausible to me if you had two friends. The leaving is kind of funny that you wouldn't stay around, but you'd be like.
Well, but here he is. I mean, it looks like he's had some troubles with the law in the past and stuff. So maybe he was a little bit fearful of what was going to happen. Who knows?
Right. But he had nothing. I mean, I think I'm a lawyer. I play one on TV, but he really had nothing to gain from shooting Alec. Who had something to gain by being shot? Alec. And he had something to gain. He says it's for this life insurance policy. No, I think it was a game. It was a pretend game because he thinks people are so dumb that they'll be like, oh no, now they're going after him. What shall we do? We must protect.
Yeah. I think it was in Alec's interest to maybe think that there was some sort of mad gun person who had shot his wife and son, and there's somebody on the loose to take the pressure off of himself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that does seem like that could potentially be a motive. Whether that is or not, I don't know. But it does seem like that's feasible. I don't really know what Eddie had to gain in this whole situation, unless he was going to potentially get some money from Alec for trying to shoot him. He claimed that there was no money involved, and he says he was just basically, he was the fall guy. He was set up.
Lynn said, why would Cousin Eddie not give the gun to law enforcement?
And that is bothersome to me too. I agree. I think that's a valid point because I've been bothered by that same thing too. Like, why?
I don't think it's that unusual. When you're like, if he was charged with he had some drugs on him, and he's probably thinking, I just think that's I could totally see that happening where I live. People being like, I'm not going to call the police. I try to avoid the police.
Right. And he seemed to be someone who is probably trying to avoid the police.
Yes. Just because.
I think that it. But then why did he maybe he was like, I got to get rid of this gun because he disposed of the gun.
Yeah, he needed Eddie to get rid of the gun. I think what he thought was there's no camera. No, there's no camera. And Eddie's not gonna rat him out, because maybe Eddie would have ratted him out, who knows? But I think the camera at that church, then he had to come up with a new story, and suddenly Eddie went from being his friend to like, I gotta blame Eddie.
Yeah. Yes, I think so.
Because the tire was slashed with a knife belonging to Alec. So if Eddie, who slashes their own tire?
I don't know, but it doesn't seem to me, after hearing from him, that he seems like somebody who's going to want to kill his friend.
No. Doesn't.
It doesn't seem like it.
No.
But, again.
Well,
it's anything in this case is possible.
He's like, let me tell you something, Alec. You better watch out now. Don't you know what with me? Because I thought we were friends, and now we're not.
Yeah. I think game on.
Which is how you would feel. You'd be like, what in the hell have they done to me? He tricked me. Damn it. So that's something. So now what are we waiting for? Where is Alec currently?
Well, I think he is still in rehab, but his lawyers did file motions to go ahead and get the ball rolling on the legal proceedings to see if there's enough to charge him. So they did file that this week. So I don't know if that's because he's ready to leave rehab, or they just they're hoping that there's not enough evidence to proceed.
Oh, do anything. And then there was some question of you remember you and I talked about this, I think the first week. So we were talking about his injury, this like entry exit wound. And I said to you, well, they can say anything they want because of HIPAA.
Well, do you know what happened this week?
Mm-hmm. But I felt vindicated with my announcement.
Yes, because Connor Cook's attorneys have subpoenaed to get the records from Savannah to find out what happened. Now, I find this kind of curious because I'm like, how is this relating to Connor Cook's case?
Yeah, I didn't get that.
But I don't really understand why, or whether they have,
maybe
other than
like us.
I know, or they just want to expose like him for who he is, that he's trying to manipulate lots of things. But I did find it was interesting that it was Connor Cook's attorneys who were trying to get that information. But I think everyone is kind of like, where was the head wound?
Mm-hmm. And Murdaugh's attorney was like, we do not want to give the medical information. Now, again, if you had nothing to hide and you had an entry and exit wound, you would be like, look at my entry, look at my records.
Right, exactly. Like, I really did have these really serious.
The records would set you free. So suddenly the records, are like nudie pics. You don't want anybody to see any records, because it's going to be like, we don't even know what happened. We're not sure if a touched his ear.
Yeah, no, there was obviously, it was 2 weeks after that, this bond hearing happened, and there was no evidence of anything, and they're saying this entry and exit wound. He didn't even have any shaved parts of his head, so it just didn't seem.
If I had been
whoever just said that they should have had a fake Band-Aid was completely right. Why did they not at least think of doing that?
Why didn't they do that?
Yes.
If you're gonna
put a head wrap,
you gotta be full on in and lie. You can't start lying and then just go dark. If you've got a head injury, you gotta I have a little wound, and maybe you smear it a little bit, and you're like, oh, the blood.
It's Halloween season. You can go get some really good. I have boys who use a lot of fake blood in their day.
Yeah, I mean,
you can get some fake blood. You can make a wound easily with stuff.
Even if he had had something just like that, you would have been like, well, there was a red spot there, but nothing.
He could have gone to Halloween Express and made himself a wound.
And his skin is white. I mean, white. You could see nothing on there.
No. Again, you would have definitely seen, there were no evidence of stitches or anything.
So what is Matt talking about with Nancy Grace tonight?
You never know what you're going to talk about with Nancy Grace. That's the deal.
Well,
she doesn't give you questions.
Uh-huh.
You basically have to be prepared for everything. And sometimes she goes in a direction you're not really sure where she's going to go.
This is true. Well, that will be kind of exciting. Now I'm not feeling as tired as I was 30 minutes ago. Maybe now I need.
I know. I'm going to stay up. I'm like
on Fox.
I told my husband. Yes, I said go. You need to go get some wine because I'm going to need a glass of wine and watch this.
That's a good idea. Maybe I'll drink. Now to find the wine opener. Anything else y'all have going on? Anything we need to know about? What's coming next? What are we doing?
Yeah, it's been crazy. We've had so many people reaching out to us personally. We've been having some talks with some people about doing a documentary or possibly a scripted series, but we only want to do it if we think it's authentic to South Carolina and it's not going to be, crazy and make everyone in the state look like they're a bunch of rednecks.
Well,
so we feel confident about that, but we still want to make sure.
Well, that'd be good. Yeah, sometimes though, if it's like North Carolina, we make ourselves look like rednecks.
Well, that's true.
Though I will say,
it happens.
There's the show called Outer Banks, which was filmed in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Which is a little.
Yeah, no, it's on Sept Creek.
And they take a ferry to Chapel Hill. Chapel Hill, which is landlocked. They take a ferry there. And you're like, why do y'all have to do this? Like, do you have to in waterways? Like, no. Like, this is ridiculous. Because then you have some dodo bird come in here and be like, I'm going to take the ferry to Chapel Hill. Be like, yeah, get your ass down to Hyde County and catch it.
Well, and also the topography of the Outer Banks is so different than Charleston. Like, every time I've ever been to the Outer Banks, it seems like you almost go to this different world. And I think they should have done it there.
Yeah, they wouldn't do it though, because we had the wonderful HB2 law, which was, where men and women couldn't share bathrooms. It was illegal, even though there was no enforcement of the law. What it did was just chased a lot of money out of our states. Great, really smart politician idea.
I remember that. We lost a lot of concerts in Charlotte because of that same thing.
We also lost the NCAA tournament. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then
that was really very sad.
Ruled by the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. Wonderful. That really makes you proud. Makes you proud.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Because there are not enough crimes that we have to worry about other than people and what they are doing in the bathroom alone.
I don't really even want to think about what anyone's doing in the bathroom.
When I'm in the bathroom, I'm usually trying to get people not to lick the floor. That's like my main goal, and to touch as little as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so Alec might be coming out of rehab after this 20-year, opioid addiction.
Well, so that was one thing in the bond hearing. The judge said you can't, if you leave the rehab, your bond is revoked. So I mean, his lawyer's gonna have to work something out.
Mm. Mm-hmm. I'm just really struggling with this drug addict thing. I mean, I find, and I talked a little bit about this on the side, but it's super offensive for people who have family members really struggling with drug addiction. when you're like, this is the face of someone addicted to opiates. And you're like, no. Just because suddenly like people are dropping like flies all around you, it's like you're just grasping for anything. Head wound, drugs. Let me come up with anything that it's not my fault.
It definitely seems deflection. I mean, there's no way. I mean, now that we know that it was 4.3, we thought last time we talked, we thought there's no way you could spend $500,000 on drugs. Now that we know it's $4.3 million, that is 100% not possible.
Not to mention the upwards of 10 that he stole from the
law firm.
Law firm.
Yeah.
And
so
we still don't know how much. We don't know if or how much life insurance on the wife and or the son.
Yeah, so I need to go back and research this a little bit.
And
I think someone said that there was not any on there, but I don't know where I heard that. Honestly, my head, there's so many different tentacles with this story that every day, and I'm a little ADD. I go in too many different directions and I forget to follow up on something. So I do need to follow up on the life insurance stuff. I mean, it has.
I don't think it's public record. So let's investigation or something.
Well, they did know. Okay, so that did come out this week too. That Paul's probate, Alec, before all of this happened, had relinquished the probate on his son's, on Paul. So I think it was Randy who was going to handle that for him. So it was either Randy or but not. He decided he didn't want to do it himself. So I mean that wouldn't be unusual. Your son just died, but
right.
I know that's the first we kind of know that Paul's. I'm not doing good with my words tonight. Paul's whatever is in probate.
And so what about Buster? We asked about this last time. Did we heard anything from Buster?
No, Buster is laying low. He is not. But we did come out. So Wall Street Journal had an article this week.
And she went to Carolina.
And did you see where she said she actually confirmed that
a writer? Yes, she is.
They did confirm that he got kicked out of USC.
So she got it. I don't know how in the hell she got that out because they don't like to give that up.
No, she somehow found it out that he did not. He was kicked out for plagiarism of law school.
And we had heard that he was cheating and had been kicked out, but no, like.
Yeah, that was the Reddit rumor, like we talked about.
Yes.
Those things, sometimes there's truth to them, but this one did seem to be true.
Right. So no moloscope. No moloscope. Huh. Well, and at the end of the day, he's lost his mother and his brother. His dad. I think it didn't have to be this way. Like this did not just happen totally randomly.
Well, here's what, like you have to feel sorry, even if people make mistakes. I mean, you kicked out of law school, that's a mistake. That's a terrible mistake, but people do make mistakes. But that still is really sad that he's lost his mother, he's lost his brother, and his dad has tried to.
With mommy.
Okay. Yes, be very quiet.
Hi.
I'll be out there in just a minute. Okay. He's got a cold. Keep going. Say it again.
Oh, just how sad it is. He's lost his mom. He's lost his brother. And now his dad has decided that he's going to try to pull off this fake suicide, whatever thing. He's clearly not right in the head. So definitely, it as a person, your whole family has basically imploded.
Yeah. And when are we ever, I wonder when we're going to hear more about what they think might have happened to Maggie and Paul. I think that in my mind, is still the biggest mystery.
Oh, definitely. I mean, that is, but don't you feel, I mean, I know people are really up in arms because they're saying SLED is not making progress. And this week, there's been a lot of rumors about changes up in law enforcement and SLED, and the FBI got involved in multiple of the, Murdaugh cases. So I think it's great that FBI is now involved. So hopefully that will help move things.
I forgot about that.
Important.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the $10 million question. I mean, you just can't quite, just with the facts of she was shot in the back, he was shot in the head. I mean, everything was different about the shootings, 2 different guns, right? So it makes you think there had to be 2 people, or somebody trying to make it.
I mean, I would think that there's no way, or they could, someone could be trying to make it look like 2 people, but in my mind, I think why would they even care if it looked like 2 people? I mean, I would think that there's definitely no doubt in my mind, or, well, again, anything could be possible with this case, but I believe that there were 2 shooters.
You do?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
And I don't think one of those shooters was Eddie Smith. I'm going to go on record.
No.
If Eddie wants to talk to
I will.
We will talk to you, because I do not think you were one of those
Solidarity. Shooters. It was not Eddie.
It was not Eddie.
Not Eddie. No, not Eddie. But just for a minute, so we think about the shooting of the 2 of them, and we don't know who did it. I've always heard with Alec, he had this alibi. He was with his dad at the hospital. But why did that mean that he couldn't have done it before he left or when he got there? Like,
they actually, though, when you look, they had the time of death so nailed down. I mean,
are they usually
from
the time of death? Maybe I watched too much Dateline. I always feel
I don't know, but they said that the time of death occurred at this, and I think they got there so fast. So, I mean, they say ironclad alibi. I don't know. I mean, they must have camera footage verifying where he was at a certain time. I mean, if your father died 2 days later, I don't think he can be your ironclad alibi. And I've seen that his mother was, not in the best of health herself, possibly suffering from some dementia. So, I mean, I would think that there would have to have been hospital staff or cameras or something to corroborate that alibi. But we still have not. We're still waiting for a lot of information from SLED to be released. I mean, there's not released much.
Yeah, I just think it's going to be so interesting to see what it is, because now, see, like, people have some real ideas. Like somebody on here said, I think it was a drug deal that went wrong. Another person said he shot Maggie, took her phone and gun, threw them out on his way to his mother's, then returned and was confronted by Paul. I mean, people have some real thoughts that this is exactly what happened. And we really don't know.
You've seen all of those. Those rumors are on all the sleuth Facebook pages and Reddit. People have the most amazing theories that are entirely possible, but we just don't know because SLED has released such limited information.
Now, this is interesting what Murdaugh just said. She said SLED was searching the river by Moselle. They were looking for the gun that shot Maggie. So I thought that they had found 2 guns at the scene. No?
They have said I believe that they've recovered 1 gun. I think they've only said they have 1 gun, but they've confirmed that there were 2 separate guns.
Okay. So
and I don't even know. There's so many every day. There's so many facts that come out. I believe that's what it was. I think that they have only recovered 1 gun. I know that they've released information about the 2 guns. And they may not have even said that they recovered 1 gun. I don't know. I'm not totally sure. But they've said that there were 2 guns, but they haven't released much information about those 2 guns other than that they were 2 separate guns. And we do know that they were searching the swamps behind.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't say what they were searching the swamps for. They just were searching. But it would stand to reason that they were searching for a weapon. But there's also been a lot of, I've seen pictures. I mean, since all this has happened, there's still a police presence at Moselle searching.
Really? So one of the guns, the shotgun, was a Murdaugh gun, that they found. And it's the AR that killed Maggie that's missing.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the clarification. I mean, again, I cannot keep all these facts straight at all times.
Can you confirm that Maggie hired a forensic accountant? I didn't confirm it, but I believe it was confirmed, wasn't it?
Yeah, so Matt actually had a source that told him that there was a forensic accountant hired.
So yes, they confirmed it. Forensic accountant. So there's something to that 3 days. Oh, it's all in the Wall Street Journal article, which I must have not thoroughly enough.
No, I did not read it thoroughly enough.
Interesting that, anyway, it was the 3 days before they were about to go to court and have to release all this financial information, you know?
Right. So, and now they haven't. So was that a delay tactic not to have to release it? Because a lot of people have reported that the reason they were going to court was for Paul with the Mallory Beach boating accident, which was not the case. It was the civil suit filed by the Beach family that they were going to court for, to talk about releasing financial records.
And they really didn't want to give them, like they had refused to give stuff. They were like, it's too broad what you want. We're not doing.
Yes. And it seemed like a lot of legal annex of just kind of going back and forth and saying, oh, it's too broad. And but I mean, now we know that Alex's financial situation seemed to be very strange. He probably didn't want to release details about that.
Very, very strange. Unlike most of us, there's just like, there was money and then where did it go? We don't know.
Yes.
But if it had been 2.7 million, I mean, it look good in here. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. That's what's interesting is like, where, you know,
I wouldn't have
we know
ups from Hobby Lobby. I mean, I would have something fancy, like some crisp.
You would have fancy, but they weren't really living this fancy. If you look at their Edisto beach house, it's really not very fancy. Like, it's not front row. They're not living. They weren't living. They didn't have a house on Front Battery in Charleston for their weekend residents.
Well, that's because he was spending all the money on drugs.
Well, that's true.
I mean, if you did as many drugs as $15 million would buy, you wouldn't be alive.
No, there's absolutely no way.
Not that I know a lot about drugs, but I read.
But it's just not. It's not.
New drugs. You die.
It's not. No, it's not possible. We already said, like, when we all thought it was only $500,000, we're like, no way. But now that we know it's $4.3 million, that's just definitely not possible.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't believe this. Well, it's always a pleasure. My supporter.
Thank you for having me.
My supporter page has been so excited about this, and I had told them that my husband might come on, but he must still be mad at me. I didn't even do anything.
All right, next time he needs to break down. Like, we love it so much when we have John Snyder on ours. He's a former DA from North Carolina, and he can really like break it down in a way that helps the rest of us.
My husband is very popular on my supporter page. When he does a video, like, he could have more people than me. He is real funny, but he has a lot of trials this week, and he works.
I get it.
Anyone else on this planet, and don't forget it.
I get it. I don't forget it, except for I also think that Matt Harris is also an extreme worker, because he wakes up at 3:45 every day to do his morning show, and then he's on Nancy Grace tonight.
Thomas works harder. Trust me.
I believe you. I believe you.
That's what he tells me. I'm like, I have to take 18 people. I have 18 doctor's appointments this week with the children. He's like, I have a trial. I'm like, oh my God.
You have 18 doctor's appointments. I have 4, and I was really upset about that. I was like, I'm not going to get anything.
Just no matter what I say that I'm busy, he's always busier. It's like a busy competition, and I can never win. Damn it.
All right. Well, next time
we'll have him. He's also off rum since he had a stomach problem, so that sort of made him foul too. He likes a rum drink Sunday night.
I get it.
Carry on, people.
All right. Talk to you later.
Okay, bye. Bye.